La 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 la. La 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 la. Hey y'all. So it is Charisma with Traveling with Charisma and Cam. So it is Saturday night, 8 o'clock p.m. And I really don't expect any of you all to be on here because I'm sure you all have lives. Um, Let me fix my hair right here. I'm sure you all are out living your best lives. You're out to dinner. You're doing things, you're traveling the world, and you don't know why the hell this light just came on your YouTube that said Charisma Cares is live at 8:19. It's Saturday, right? On a Saturday night, drinking wine. Right. So I haven't been live in a while because y'all, I've really been grinding. It has been a lot going on in my life. Good things, not bad things, but just a lot going on. And I have really, really been on the grind. If you have seen me, you have seen I've been on the grind. If you follow me on social media, you know that when I got back to the States, I hit the ground running. I was in Mexico where I did the Exodus Summit. I was in the States for like a day or two before I left and did the Exodus Summit in Mexico. I got back, I was here 2 days before I went to Chicago, and I went to a mastermind commercial investing conference. Then I got back. I've been working. I've been doing investing. I have had a challenge for investors, for people, first time investors. And I have had I've also done a group for people that's interested in commercial investing. So I have really just hit the ground running. Right now, I am sitting here on my first house sit. Um, I don't think my house sit went too well because the dog kind of turned on me. So now my house sit, my pet sit, since the dog kind of turned on me and tried to bite me, has now turned into a house sit. Cheers to not being bitten, right? Because that's really good. So I didn't get bitten. The dog is now at the wherever the dogs go, not the pound, but the kennel. So the dog is at the kennel, and I was not bitten, so that's good. So what I want to talk about today is the challenges of trying to get out of the United States. So if you're joining me, hello. I guess you're not doing anything, like I'm not doing anything on Saturday at 8 o'clock. So hey y'all. So grab a glass of wine or some water. I got some water too. Enjoy me. So today I want to talk about how our plans, right? And how we make these great plans, and they sound really, really good. And they look good on paper. We drew them out. We made a we made a whole blueprint. And then when it was time to get on our flight, we weren't on that flight. That Delta plane just took off, and we weren't on there. Our luggage wasn't on there. We weren't even at the airport because we were not destined to actually be on that flight. Hello, hey. So I want to talk about that because you hear me talk. I'm one of those people, I like to talk about the good and the bad. And I don't want to say that it's necessarily bad, but those changes that come about when it's like, okay, I had these plans, and these plans were supposed to go this way, that way, and the other. I told everybody on Facebook I was doing this. I told everybody on IG I was doing this. And then I look up, and 2 months later, I'm still here because the plan that I planned actually did not work. Like that, it sounded good on paper, but when it was time to execute it, it didn't necessarily work. And sometimes, a lot of times, when we're trying to leave the United States, we forget that there are so many moving parts. There's, especially if this is your exodus, if this is your Blaxit, if this is your I'm moving out for 6 months to a year, there are a lot of moving parts. Someone just asked me, what about the meetup that we're doing? And, one thing I had to say was that when you're going on vacation, it's a lot easier. If I don't get the house clean and I don't get stuff set up when I'm going on vacation, then it's okay. I go away for my week and then I come back. However, when I am actually trying to leave a country for months, even if it's just for 1 month, it's not as easy. I just can't get up and say, okay, well, I didn't do all of that, but I'm still going to leave. And that's the thing. So we have to take time and we have to be patient with ourselves. And we have to be forgiving to ourselves when things don't turn out the way that we thought they would. My original plan was that I would be in Egypt in November. For Thanksgiving, I was going to be in Egypt, and I put that out there. And, people are like, oh, I thought you were going to Africa. I am going to Africa, but it's when my divine team, God, whoever you want to call it, when all of that lines up, when I do my work, when I check off, I'm sorry, I think I'm moving too much. When I do my work, when I check off those boxes that say, okay, Charisma, this is your check, it's time to move, that's when I'm going to move. Because we can't do, this timeline isn't based on anybody else. It's not based on most of the times it's not even based on us. It's based on the things that we have to check off and the things we have to put in place to make that move. So that's something that we have to think about. I have changed my itinerary many, many times. I'm going to be honest. This weekend, I was supposed to be in Miami with my friend celebrating her birthday. And, things were telling me you're probably not going to be able to go. Charisma, I don't know if this is good. Are you going to be able to make it? And, I'm still pushing. I'm like, no, this is my girl's birthday. I got to be there to celebrate. I got the ticket. I got my plane ticket. I got my hotel. I got everything to go and celebrate this birthday in Miami. And then, basically I get hurt. Like I didn't get seriously hurt, but I got hurt enough to say, okay, I'm going to have to cancel this hotel and take a loss on this ticket because I was not listening to my body and my spirit telling me, no, Charisma, this is not for you. I don't know what would have happened. I don't know if something would have happened in transit. I don't know if something would have happened when I got there, but something said that this is not for me. And instead of me listening, I kept pushing forward, doing what I felt like I wanted to do instead of listening, and that happens quite often. I don't know if that happens with you all, but it happens with me. When I have another plan. It's like, okay, I booked my ticket to go to Mexico. I'm going to go stay in Playa del Carmen. I booked my ticket for September 18th. But then things just started coming up. I started to feel, is Playa del Carmen kid friendly? Is this the place that I want to be? Somebody else mentioned that it's hurricane season. I didn't even think about that. I know it's hurricane season here in the US, but I didn't think about the fact that the Yucatan Peninsula it was hurricane season coming up. All of these different things started to arise and they really started to throw an anchor into my plans. And it started to make me wonder, like, really, should I be going to Playa del Carmen? I did go to Playa del Carmen, but I went as a single woman by myself. I didn't go to Playa del Carmen with my son. Now, as a single woman, I will tell you, Playa del Carmen is it, y'all. It's got the hotels. It's got the pool, the pool bar. It's got the pool parties. It's got the spas. All of this stuff, and you spending way less than $100, and that's for entrance, food, drinks, and the spa sometimes. Like you really aren't spending a whole lot of money in Playa del Carmen to be fabulous. Like you're basically like you're a queen in Playa del Carmen for $100. Like you are really doing the damn thing in Playa. However, when I go back, I'm going back as a mom. I'm going back with a son with a disability. So I really had to take a step back and say, is this the best place for me to go right now? Like, is this where I should be? Is this the path that I'm supposed to be on? And one of the reasons why I wanted to go there is because I felt like it was a good place to go to Tulum, to go to Belize, to go to Merida, all of those to see the ruins. So it was a good place to kind of start from. But then I have to back up and I really have to evaluate, is that plan feasible? Because of course there's people that live there with their children in Playa del Carmen, but I have to decide if that is a feasible plan for me. And sometimes what we do is we decide on one plan and we say, oh, this is where I really want to go. But once we start really doing the research and we really dig deep into it, it's not necessarily the place we should go. It sounds good. It looks wonderful. The pictures look good. The expats there saying wonderful things. But we just sometimes we got to listen to ourselves and say, are we really being called to go here? Or is this just the spot we want to go to because it's the happening spot right now? This is where all the expats are going. And sometimes you do need to go where all the expats are going. However, there are other times where you need to go where you're being called to. When I went to Medellin, Colombia, when I left, it wasn't because I wanted to go to Medellin, y'all. Like, I had no desire to go to Medellin. I literally picked a location. I went on Skyscanner. I looked at Atlanta, and then I looked at two everywhere in November. And I literally booked whatever was inexpensive from Atlanta to everywhere in November. That's how I decided I was going to Medellin. And that's how I ended up in Medellin. Medellin, for me, I think I was just called to go there. I didn't know nothing about Medellin. I just knew when I looked it up, it said it was a beautiful place for Christmas. And it was eternal spring. I didn't know it was kind of like a concrete jungle with parks sprinkled around it. It's a very interesting looking city if you've never been there. But it's basically it's a concrete jungle, and it has parks strategically placed in there. If you've never been to Medellin, it was not built up until the 40s, because you remember they had all the cocaine and the drugs and all of that. So it had all the drug lords. So it really was not built up until the 40s. Well, when I went to Medellin, I feel like I was actually called there. It was more of a spiritual thing, because in Medellin is where I discovered ayahuasca. If you're not familiar with it, I have a video on it, but it's a spiritual journey. It's led by a shaman. Um, and they take you down a spiritual journey after you drink literally a disgusting potion. So but I feel like I was led to Medellin for that, for this awakening experience. Had I been here in the States, I would have never done this. But being in Medellin allowed me to do that. It allowed me to be in a place that was very inexpensive, as one of my first places outside of Panama and Costa Rica where my family was, but really one of my first places that I ended up being as a individual without anyone there, right? So it was just me, my son, and my daughter went with me. Last minute she went with me. And y'all, it was rough getting to Medellin. When I first was going to Medellin, I got to the counter and they would not let me check into the flight. There was a form you needed to fill out and the website was down. And since the website was down, I was unable to fill out that form. So I was unable to go to Medellin. Like they literally had to reschedule my flight. And I was standing there at that ticket counter and I told that lady, you know what, give me a ticket anywhere. And she was like, wait, what? I said, just give me a ticket anywhere. I don't care where I go. She's like, y'all, this lady looked at me like I had three heads. I was like, lady, I'm a new expat. I need to go somewhere. My luggage is here. My son is here. You know how hard it was to get here this morning and be at this flight that leaves at 5 a.m., which means I'm standing at her gate at 3 a.m. Lady, do you know how hard it was to do this? Give me a flight anywhere. I don't care where we go. Where we going? Anywhere. That lady started laughing at me, y'all. But I was so serious. They was like, I'm so sorry. Let's see what else we can do for you. We can get you rescheduled. I was like, you ain't got no flights nowhere? It's only 5 o'clock. There's got to be some flights somewhere. It's got to be a flight somewhere, anywhere that I can go to. Y'all, this was my first trip by myself, like, well, with me and my kids, well, me and my son, because my daughter came later. This was my first trip where I wasn't going to, like I said, and I have family in Panama and Costa Rica, so that was different. But this was my first trip, and y'all, I did a lot to get to this airport. Like, we had family stuff going on. It was rough. And do you know how hard it is to get somebody to take you to the airport at 3 in the morning? Lady, give me a flight. So in the end, she ain't give me a flight, y'all. So I ended up calling my family to pick me back up, went back home, and I actually ended up leaving a week later. However, this is divine intervention, I'm telling you. One of my family members ended up being ill, and I actually had to, I'm a nurse practitioner if you're not aware, so I actually had to go to the hospital to speak on their behalf, and I ended up being at the hospital for a few days making sure that they were well. So this is just what I'm saying, like, sometimes we have these plans, right? But there are plans. They're really not the plan. They're just our plan. And divine intervention will tell you what this plan really should be, because that's not what that plan should be. Even when I was leaving, my daughter was not scheduled to leave with me. She actually decided to leave with me later when I rescheduled that flight. Okay, y'all, so I'm going to be a little bootleg because my battery is going dead. So let me get on this charger real quick. Give me just a second. I know. Sorry, y'all. This was just very impromptu. I just felt like I need to speak with y'all. So, but that's what I'm saying. You have these plans and you like, I'm going to Mexico. I'm going to stay in PDC, Playa del Carmen. I'm going to Europe. I'm going to Israel, wherever you going. You have these plans and you just know that this is what you need to be doing. This is the way that it needs to be done. But sometimes that's just not the way it should be. It's going to happen how it's supposed to happen, where it's supposed to happen, when it's supposed to happen. Like I told you, I was supposed to be in Egypt for November. That was the plan. It was me and two of my friends. One of them ended up having some issues in his home. So he ended up needing to use his money to fix the house. The other friend was just like a little iffy about if she was ready to go or not. So, it was interesting because at that time I just kind of started feeling like I wanted to be here with my family for the holidays before I left. Again, I tell you, it's just divine intervention. And sometimes we just got to follow that. Like right now, I'm like, okay, I booked my ticket in mid-September to go to Playa del Carmen. But then I ended up, I just changed that ticket. I was like, yeah, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. There are other things that I need to do. A lot of you all know I invest in real estate. Well, my real estate is moving. Some of this stuff is moving faster than I expected it to move. I expected to do some things, leave, and then come back. But things are moving. So I have to make changes to my plans, and I have to be in certain places. So I have to go to Florida, before I leave, I need to go to Florida to figure out my investments. There are things that you are going to have to do before you can leave. Yes, everybody tells you, put your stuff in storage. They tell you, sell your house, rent your house, give away the cat, give away the dog, make sure you get the stuff ready for the kids. But what they don't tell you is that sometimes you mentally have a checklist and you got to check those boxes off in that checklist. You got to do some things that's going to mentally satisfy you before you leave, because you can't just run away from things. If you haven't closed some of these emotional problems, problems, if you haven't closed some of these doors to these like emotional things, the whole forgiveness, the dealing with some of these traumas that we tend to have, you can't just run away from these things. You really need to deal with them, because what I'll tell you is that if you don't, you'll be coming back to deal with them. They're not going away. You know, they may be quiet for a little bit, but when you get to that new country, oh, they'll come out full force. I'll tell you, they will. I promise you. Those same demons that you decided to tuck on under and not pull out and really work through, those same demons are following you wherever you go. So, you know, yes, get all your stuff together, get your finances together, get your ducks in a row, get all of that together, but make sure you take time to get your mental and your spiritual and any of those traumatic experiences. Start working through that stuff, because that stuff needs to be taken care of too. You know, we need to take care of all of this before we move on to our next chapter. We need to wrap all of this up. And it may not be in a nice, pretty bow. You may still be working on this stuff when you overseas. You may still be moving forward. And that's completely fine. You know, even if it's not spiritual, you know, all that kind of stuff. Like I said, like my business stuff, my real estate stuff, I got to make sure some of these things are in place before I move forward. There's certain I's I need to dot and T's I need to cross before I move forward. Yes, Maria, you're right. When you try to force things, it just doesn't seem to work. Like what I have noticed, like I tell people, somebody asked me to make a plan for September. And I said, girl, I'm going to be honest. You don't want to make no plan with me for September. I'm just going to be honest. First of all, when I make plans, they don't really seem to work out when they're made too far in advance. So you don't really want to plan nothing with me. How about we wait until September and plan for September? Because anytime I try to plan stuff too far in advance, it just doesn't happen. Like my birthday is this month, and normally I am like the turnip queen. I'm all like happy birthday extravaganza the whole month of August. I'm very low key this month. I'm very quiet, not just on YouTube. I'm very quiet altogether. Like I'm here on a Saturday night recording, talking to y'all. Like I'm not doing nothing. Like I'm just really chill, relaxed, because I'm just waiting to hear what it is that I need to hear, do what I need to do. You know, what I was actually doing right now was researching a city that I'm going to invest in, that I'll be going to look at, because that's what that's my focus right now. So we got to focus on those things and get those things done so that we're okay with moving on. You know, I know we were looking at doing that meetup in Belize, and it was 4 women. One of them, she's trying to get some things together, I think, with her son. Actually, 2 of them are trying to get some things together for their kids. And, you know, another one, she asked, but she said she's going to have to move her dates. And honestly, I had to move my dates too. You know, I moved it to the beginning of October, but I'm like, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to go. And what happens is that we feel like, oh my God, I made this plan and I'm supposed to stick to this plan. But baby, I'm telling you, those plans don't always stay. They don't always stick. And like Maria said, when you force things, they don't work out well. So I'm gonna tell y'all, I don't even know. I think at this point, I done lost money on a flight for Spirit. I have a credit on a flight for Southwest and Delta. Oh, now y'all know, I don't know if you know, but Delta will change your ticket. So they'll tell you that if you can't change it if you have a basic ticket, but honey, they do. You just call them right up and you can change the date on your ticket for no fees. So that's who I was taking to Mexico, was Delta. So I just went ahead with my basic ticket and changed it and did a new date. And know that if you fly with kids now, I don't know what the age is now, the FAA has decided that they can't split you up. They have to allow you to sit with your kids. So if you don't want to pay those extra fees and you want to go basic instead of comfort or whatever it is, because you don't want to pay for the seat, now they can't do that anymore. So I'm really glad about that. But that was just like a tidbit of information. But yeah, you know, be okay when things are not okay. At the end of the day, that's the moral of the story. Be okay when things are not okay. Be okay that your plans have to change and they have to shift and you have to adjust. Be okay that everything is not in stone. Be okay that things are just not going the way that you thought they would, you expected them to, and you really wanted them to. Be okay with that. And if you put it out there that you're going to such and such and such day and you don't do that, it's okay. Because the same people that's like, I thought you were going to such and such. It's like, but where are you going? Like you ain't going nowhere. Like what you doing? How you sit up here judging me because I gotta move my plans? What you doing? So let's just be real and call a spade, like, because I am moving my life. This is a life adjustment. This is our life. Like, we are getting up and we are taking us and everything that we have, we are shrinking it down to size. If you're putting it in a storage, you at least got an 8x10, but some of us are leaving with 2 suitcases. Some of us are leaving with a backpack. Like, we're doing all of that. We're doing all of that. So how you think that be okay when it's not okay? Yeah, Maria, they're not doing nothing. Like, they're not going nowhere. They good. They right here. They're not making any changes. So you got to realize that you're not in a race. You're not in a competition with anybody, because when I had to change my Egypt trip and I started to wonder, I got family that's not doing well. So I started to wonder, should I stay longer? So they kind of delayed some things. I don't want to go on the other hemisphere of the world if something happens to my family. But, and so it started to make me feel like, man, I said I was doing this, but I'm not going to be able to do this. And, someone had to remind me, they said, this your life. I promise you, Egypt isn't going anywhere. And if it does, you ain't want to be there at that time anyway. And I'm like, this is true. This is very true. It's not going anywhere. And it will be there, whether we get there this year, next year, or 2 years from now. It will be there waiting on us with open arms. You got health. We have health issues. We got job issues. We have placement issues. Things may just not be coming in the way that we thought they would. Finances may have changed. You may have had a wrench thrown in there somewhere, and now you got to pay for something that you wasn't going to have to pay for before. So, and that's okay. It is okay. Be okay with things not being okay. Like, that's really what it all boils down to. We just got to be okay with that, because even though you're making these changes, that doesn't mean that your next step is not coming. That does not mean you will not get where you plan to go. Yes, did I want to be in Kenya before 2023? I did. Will I be in Kenya before 2023? I won't. My goal is to be in Kenya next year. And the thing is, though, I am now making more steps and more strides towards getting to Kenya than I did before, because I was trying to race there. But it's not a race, honey. We walking, we taking notes, we writing stuff down, we making sure we dot those I's, cross those T's. We not running. Because every time we try to race or sprint, we get tripped up. So we just gonna walk. We just gonna nicely walk over here and get where we need to go. And in the meantime, we're gonna make sure everything we need to do around us is done, because that's what it's all about. It's being okay with things not being okay. And we're gonna take care of those things. So then what happens is, once we get over there, it's amazing. Because we did our research. We knew what areas we wanted to see, where we want to go, where we want to lay our head. We knew, let's stay in this hotel for a few days and then go visit the Airbnbs, instead of just jumping into the Airbnb and then being mad because it's roaches. Y'all, I done been there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot harder to find a new Airbnb when you already in there for a month. Yeah. That wasn't fun with the spray and yeah. Mm-hmm. So make sure you take time, that extra time that you have been allotted, that extra time that the universe has told you, wait a minute, slow down, slow your roll. We're not going yet. It's not time. Because you need to do something with that time. Figure out what it is that you need to do with that time, and to make sure that your next step is the best step. Figure out what you need. Why is it that you plan to go in November, but you can't go in February? What needs to happen between November and February before you step out on faith? Because there's a reason why you couldn't go in November. You need to figure out what that reason is. What is that reason, and what steps do you need to take to then get where you want to go in that new time frame that you want to be there? It's simple, but it's hard. It is very simple, and these things will keep coming up, but eventually that path will be free of obstacles, and then you'll know it's like, okay, it's time to go. I've done everything that I can do. I can't do anything else. Nothing else here is in my control. It's just time to go on faith. It's just time to take this leap. And you will know. Something will tell you, girl, go. It's time. It's time to sell this stuff. If it's not time, you put that in storage. I know it's team storage, team no storage, but you know what? It's team your money. So whatever you choose to do with your money, it's on you. If you choose that you need to keep that stuff 6 more months and come back to it, then that's what you need to do. Because at the end of the day, nobody else should be counting your pennies, counting your coins. So you do what you need to do for you to get to that next step. So I want to take a minute to say, hey, who's on here? Let me know who's on here and tell me, hey. I don't know if y'all have wine. It's Saturday night, so this is a great one. This is a blackberry that I'm not supposed to be drinking because I'm working out, but it's okay. So, but I know, like I said, I know I haven't been on in a while, and I just really was focusing on my entrepreneurship, getting my real estate done, and all of these different things. But I have found that I needed to take a step back. I'm going to have to stay in the States a little bit longer than I wanted to, because I have some things that I need to get done. And in the same sense that a part of me felt like, man, I don't want to say I feel like a failure, but, I feel like I'm not meeting my goals. My goal was to leave by this date. My goal was to do this by this date, but sometimes that's just not the way things go. And I just wanted you all to know that, you're not the only one that feels like, okay, I'm having to push my plans. I'm having to make changes. Things aren't necessarily going the way that I wanted them to go, because that's life. What people don't do, they don't share the information about life. They don't share that everything is not peaches and cream all the time. Are there times it's peaches and cream? It sure is. There are times where, stuff happens, but it's not always that way. So for me, for example, I'm not going to Mexico, right? I'm going to wait until probably, I'll say the beginning of October, but we'll see what happens. So instead, I have to go to Florida to do some, to look at properties. Well, I said, what I'm going to do, since we're in Florida, we're going to be 2 hours from Orlando. We're going to go on to Orlando and go to Disney for a couple of days. We're just going to make the most of it, because there's definitely things that we need to get done. There's a reason why there's a pause in the plans. So we're going to make the best of our pause in the plans. Now, for my son, he actually had a wish granted, and his wish is Disney. So y'all, I'm not like, oh, let me take these extra $1,000 and spend it. No, I'm not doing that. This was his wish from, it's called Kids Wish Network. So they actually gave him tickets to Disney that we can use whenever. They don't have an expiration date. So I said, well, maybe we'll go ahead and go to Disney, and that would be a little mini trip for us before we got, well, it's a major trip in a mini time, because, we're not going to stay but so long. But before we go to Mexico. So maybe that's something we need to do. I haven't planned it yet. It's just something that, I thought about today. But there are things that we need to accomplish. There is always a reason why your goal didn't happen when you thought it was supposed to happen. And it's not just moving out the country, it's all kinds of things. My grandmother used to tell me, and I still live by this: what's for Caesar, Caesar will get. If something is for you, it will be for you. If something is meant for you, you will have it. There's no obstacle that you will not be able to overcome if it's for you. I promise you that. There is nothing. If you are meant to get something, if you are meant to be promoted on that job, if you are meant to stay with that job, I promise you'll be there. You'll be there tomorrow and the tomorrows after tomorrow. If you're supposed to get promoted, you'll get promoted. If you're not, maybe you need to look and figure out what else you're supposed to be doing. Because maybe you're in the wrong place. There's a reason why you keep getting looked over for that promotion, knowing that you got more experience than the other people. So, that's why I'm always, I had to tell myself that today. What's for Caesar, Caesar will get. There is nothing in this world that is for me that I won't get. Anything that is for me, I'm definitely going to get one way or another, because that is my birthright. That is what I was given, and that's what I'm supposed to have. All of this stuff is predestined. Everything else I can maneuver and change, but the things that are for me, I'm definitely gonna get. The places that I need to go, I'm gonna go. You could have never told me 20 years ago that I would be traveling the world with my 2 kids. That's not something I ever thought about. However, that's something that I do, because that is what's for me. Although that is unorthodox, it is unorthodox for a group of women to be traveling the world. Most of them are single women or women with children, or just whatever society in the United States considers stereotypes. We're all kinds of stereotypes. You got the veterans over here. You got people that's leaving their 9 to 5, going to remote work. You got people that's quitting their job and they now have these businesses. I saw a post on one of my African Facebook group that said, is this true? And the post showed that in the United States, we have a lack of workers and we need workers in these everyday jobs. And they said, is this true, or is this just, is this a lie? What are these people doing? I said, no, it's very true. I said, but what the people are doing is they're working remote work. They're creating their own businesses, or, let's just be honest, some of them may just be on public assistance. But people are tired of working 9 to 5, not getting any time off, being forced to get pregnant, being forced to stay pregnant, can't make any choices. But then you turn around, you don't have no maternity leave. You got to work all 9.5 months. You got to pay $5,000-$10,000 to deliver the baby because the insurance sucks. Then you only get 6 weeks off that may or may not be paid. If you've been there over a year, you'll get a lucky 3 months off, even though your kid is still a newborn and you're still breastfeeding. I wonder why there's a shortage of workers. I don't know. What? I don't know. Why would people not want to work in that society? Doesn't that sound like a wonderful work-life balance? You work morning to evening, you come home, you cook, you eat, you bathe, you sleep, and then you go back and do it all over again 5 days a week. Yeah, some of us had a little bit of a wake-up call. Little bit. Some of us was like, wait a minute, we don't want to do this anymore. So, to my African brothers and sisters, that is very true, because people are now creating their own business. They're working on their own terms. I had an employer contact me. They said, well, we've contacted you a couple of times and we haven't heard back from you. Well, let me tell you, Mr. Employer, thank you so much for contacting me. However, I am only open to positions that are remote work, where I can work worldwide, that are part-time or per diem. If you have any of those, feel free to reach out to me. Anything else, I'm not remotely interested. I'm not remotely interested in giving up my freedom any longer. I'm not. So you need to let me, if you want me to work, then you need to let me be free. Because at this point, I work because I like my job. I work because this is where I want to be. I don't want to spend all of my time doing something I don't want to do. At this point, I want to do things that I like to do, and I deserve to do things that I like to do. I know I'm not 65. I'm not retirement age. That's not happening. I told my mom a long time ago, I'm retiring at 40. Y'all, I'm not at 40 yet, but I'm ready to retire. I told her, I said, and she laughed at me. She did. She was like, Charisma, nobody retires at 40. Yeah. I don't know who does, but I will be. Like, I don't know. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I knew. And I'm a nurse. It's not like, not working a bad job, but I knew that it was not meant for me to work. It wasn't meant for me to work 9 to 5 every day. Like, I knew that was not for me. So, that's one of those things that you need to decide what is for you. And that's why I thought that post was so funny, because it's like, yeah, no, people are not doing that anymore. Now people are deciding what is for me. What is my work-life balance? What is it that I want to see in my future? Where do I want to go? What do I want to do? You're now taking time to look and say, this is my life. I don't know how much time I have here left on this earth, but when I leave it, I'm going to say that I enjoyed it. I'm like, if something was to happen today, there's one thing they could say is that I enjoyed my life. I did way more things than people double my age have done. And I'm going to continue to do that. I'm still going to continue to enjoy my life. I'm going to continue to enjoy the fruits of my labor. I'm just going to put things in place that are supposed to be put in place. I'm going to take that time to set everything up, that block by block by block. I'm going to build my house. I'm going to build it, stack it up, one on top of the other. And then once this is built, y'all, I'm out of here. I'm gone. Because that's what I need to do. So you continue to stack up, build your blocks, do what you need to do to get to that next step. Take it one at a time, and don't rush. Don't rush. You are not in a race. You are walking by, you are taking notes, and you are making things happen. So don't feel like if you were supposed to leave by Christmas, or you were supposed to be somewhere by New Year's of 2023. Don't feel like, man, I failed, because you didn't fail. You're going in the direction that you're supposed to go in. This is what you're supposed to do. I have a friend, and he was saying to me, what did he say? He said he lost his job, and, he worked doing excursions. And he was saying to me, I had to think about it. I could have drowned out there. Something could have happened to me out there. There is a reason why I lost that job. And, I really had to think about it, because I'm like, damn, perspective. Because instead of thinking I'm having my rent is coming due, how am I going to pay this next bill? Which of course, I'm sure he's thinking about, but he really thought, what would have happened to me had I stayed at that job? That's like me I was supposed to go to Miami this weekend. What would have happened to me had I gotten on that plane? It's no telling what am I being, what am I being protected from? I'm being protected from something. That's why I wasn't on that plane. That's why he no longer has that job. That's why that plan that you put in place isn't working. You can plan it all you want to. It's not working, because that wasn't what was for you. That's what you were trying to create for you. That's what you wanted to be with you for you. That's what sounded good at the time. But in actuality, that wasn't for you. You have to wait, and sometimes you just got to let things come to the light. You keep building those blocks. You keep stacking that up, and the things that are for you will come. What is for Caesar, Caesar will get. All of that stuff will come to you. So you really don't have to worry about that. You just keep going forward. As long as you don't stop, as long as you don't become stagnant, you will continue to progress. You will continue to go forward. I have never seen a person in my life that kept doing steps to go forward and stayed in the same place. Have you? Because I don't think that's possible. I don't think it's possible to build a house brick by brick and then step back and there not be any bricks. And that's pretty impossible. So if you continue to work your plan, if you continue to do those steps, those ABCs, those 1, 2, 3, if you continue, y'all can tell I got an elementary school child. But if you continue to do those steps and you continue to push forward, you will meet your goals. Goals are specific, they are measurable. That does not mean they are unchangeable. You make that goal for December 31st. If you don't meet it by December 31st, I promise you we're closer than you were on August 20th. You are so much closer than you were. And you may have to just change that new date to January 31st. It's okay. I promise you it'll be another New Year's Eve party. It may be a party on January 31st. You know, when you go to these countries, they celebrate a lot of holidays. It don't mean that it's over, babe. It's not. Because you will do what you need to do when you need to do it in due time. So don't feel like, oh, when the first time I was supposed to go to Africa last year, I had a panic attack. I didn't know it was a panic attack at the time because I started having chest pain. Y'all, do y'all know I ended up going to the ER. I ended up going to my doctor. I had to get an EKG. I had to get a stress test. I had to get an echo. Like I had to do all of these things. And then my labs were out of whack. And my doctor said, well, you can't go all the way to Africa because she was like, even though everything else came back normal, this one lab didn't come back normal. And if you're all the way there, I mean, you don't even know anybody there. So what will happen? So that's actually how I ended up, y'all, going to Panama. And from Panama, I went to Costa Rica. Then I came back and then I went to Colombia. And then from Colombia, I went to Dominican Republic. And what I felt like is that all of these different places have now prepared me to go to Africa. You see how that works though? Like, I'm like, oh my God, my life is over. My trip is canceled. I can't do anything. I'm not going to Africa to a year later. I'm like, yeah, y'all, I done been to A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And that's how it works. Like, if it's meant for you, it's meant for you. And I'm giving you these scenarios because I don't feel like enough people do that. I look on YouTube and everybody's like, girl, I did this, I did that. I'm going here, I'm going there, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And I just feel like sometimes we need to hear the realness of it. Maybe I'm too real, maybe I'm too raw, I don't know. But I feel like I would like someone to tell me, no, it's actually okay. Yes, when you get back to the US, you will be depressed. No, it's okay if your goals change, and that's okay. However, side note, I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner. I don't know if I ever mentioned that. So that part may play a role in why I like to go back and rewind and discuss these things with you all. So let me know what you're thinking. Let me know questions, comments, concerns. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe. I'm supposed to say that now. But yeah, make sure you like it. But tell me, what are you all thinking? Where are you in your travel plans and how are they going? And have you had any roadblocks that you feel like you've kind of stumbled on that you're trying to get over? I know Maria said, her health was changing. So that's been rough. And like I said, that was rough for me when I was having chest pain and things started changing. And, I really was so down about not going straight to Africa. But I ended up meeting all of this family in Panama and Costa Rica, and it actually ended up being a blessing in disguise. It really did. In the end, my daughter actually ended up being able to come out the country with me. And, here I had a ticket, y'all. It wasn't just like, I didn't have anything planned. I had plane tickets, I had hotels, I had excursions, I had my visa for Egypt. I had all of that. So make sure y'all get travel insurance. I'm a new safety wing ambassador. I'll post a link for it. But I believe in travel insurance because I'm always getting screwed up. With my travel plans, I'm always getting hurt. I don't know if y'all get hurt. Like somebody posted and they said, their child is always getting sick when it's time to travel. I'm always getting hurt my shoulder, the chest pain. Something is always happening to me. So, make sure you have your travel insurance because all of my stuff was actually reimbursed 100%. So they reimbursed. I had the flight to Egypt. Then I had the inner city flights in Egypt from like Cairo to Abu Sibyl. I had train tickets. I had my hotel, which the hotel is easy to, you just cancel. I had all of these things, and I ended up getting 100% of my money back. And then I ended up, y'all, a week after. So my doctor was like, well, you can go somewhere in this side of the continent. Y'all, I was like, well, I saw her on Wednesday. I was into the cardiologist on Friday. Y'all, I was on a plane to Panama on Sunday. Oh yeah, I was still getting up out of here. I was on the way. I was on the way with all of my emotional baggage that was causing the chest pain and everything. I was taking all of those bags with me on my shoulder in Panama, dealing with baggage. That's why I can tell y'all, yeah, that baggage it come with you. It don't stay here in the US. It gets right there on your shoulder. It comes on with you. So just make sure you deal with that now. If you don't deal with it now, you'll deal with it later. You will, I promise. But it's okay. So, but I just wanted to take some time to encourage you all and let you all know. I'm gonna see if you all are gonna talk to me tonight. Maria's been talking. I believe in Jesus Christ. You're always there, girl. I know you there. We seem to have back and forth conversations. ALG 604. Thank you for showing up tonight. Is it Anaya? Did I say that right? Anaya, thank you for coming. I'm so glad to know I'm not the only person at home on Saturday nights. Normally I do my lives on Sunday at 10:30, but I just felt like this was something that was on my heart that I wanted to share with you all. Just in case someone else was going through, this type of thing, because it can be hard, because a lot of times we can't just talk to our family and friends because they don't understand. They don't understand our perspective. They don't understand what we're going through. A lot of them don't get the idea of leaving America. So, when you're saying, oh man, my plans have changed and I feel bad, they don't see the seriousness of that. They don't get that. So I think it's good to have a community where you can talk about these things and you can go over these things. So I, for one, am happy to have you all where we can really chat about these things. So I thank you for being here with me tonight. Well, it's night here. I'm in Atlanta, so it's 9 o'clock Eastern here. But I thank you for joining me, and I hope I can bring a little bit of sunshine on your night and your plans and whatever it is that you have coming up next in your life, because I just want you to know you are amazing, you are great, you are doing big things. And just because you have a little detour in the plans does not mean you are not on your way to greatness. That's just to make sure that you missed that beat that you weren't supposed to take. But you are definitely on your way to greatness. You are doing something big. You are doing something amazing. And yeah, if nobody else gets it, I get it. If nobody else is talking about it, I'm talking about it. And if there's something else you have a question about that you're wondering, are other people feeling this way? I'm more than happy to answer that question. I'm just an open book. I don't have a whole lot of secrets and surprises. My book opened when my son was born with a disability. It opened all the way up, and I became the face of our life. And I just chose to be that way in every aspect of my life. So I've gone from the private person to the public person. I've been on the news, the newspaper. I've written articles, journals. I've been in it all, because I want to. I feel like I have a story to share, and we all do. We all have a story. Maria, you're in Atlanta. You should look me up on Instagram. I am planning on I'm thinking about doing a meetup in Atlanta. Here's my Instagram. I'm thinking about doing a meetup in Atlanta next month, September. Don't hold me to it just yet, but mid to late September. Somebody asked me to do an Atlanta meetup. I'm not sure who it was. So I'm gonna see if anybody still wants to do it. Since I did change my flights. Make sure y'all like the video if you liked it. Make sure you give me a like. If you're just getting here, be sure to catch the replay. I think this was a good one. It's very inspirational. It was just on my heart today, so I decided to share it with you. So my shamanic experience, astrocartography. Yes, I do follow astrocartography, and interestingly enough, my line goes through Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Atlanta, where my shadow work occurs. So that's where I've dealt with a lot of my baggage and my stuff in those places. And at the time, I did not realize that was what was going on. And that was why I dealt with so much stuff. So I'm going to show you, actually, I'll show you some astrocartography for just a second. Give me a moment. Because I always have my chart up and ready to go. And since I don't have nothing else to do, if you want to stay on, you can. So let me share my screen. Hold on. And I'm going to show you the astrocartography. So if you're not familiar with astrocartography, basically they take your birthplace, your hold on, I have to fix my screens. So they take your birthplace, your birth time, and they map it out. And based off of that, they determine what lines are in certain areas that say where you should go, right? And what will happen when you go to these places. So I know not everybody is interested in this, but since you asked me, I'll show you. So it could be very, it could be a lot. See, make sure you can still hear me. Okay, making sure you can still hear me. Can you still hear me? Can somebody let me know if you can hear me? Maria, are you able to hear me? I'm not sure. Okay, so I'm gonna put myself in the corner to make sure you can still hear me. So this is astrocartography. This is mine because I keep it on here anyway. So it's based off of my birthplace, and it's based off of my okay, good. And it's based off of my birth time. So as I was saying, my line that actually runs through Atlanta, as you can see here, it runs through Atlanta, Tallahassee. It runs here in Cuba, just to the left side of Cuba. And then, ironically, it runs to through Costa Rica, where Costa Rica meets Panama, which is the area that I was staying in. I always seem to manage to stay right on the line. However, this particular line, and it's kind of hard to read this. I go to astro.com. I think that's a very good one. But if you're not familiar with this, it's kind of hard to read this because, as you can see, it was a lot of lines. So this right here is actually my Pluto AS line. So it'll tell you it's more beneficial on the west side of the line. But the thing about it is it was very specific as to which line is which. So there's some changes, some big changes that take place along this line. It says it's a repressed psychological areas, conscious and influence the ongoing flow of life. So, it's going to influence some different things. And the thing is, you're not really going to be able to escape these things. So, as it says, the influences can lead to rash decisions and experiences of power and powerlessness. You may challenge counter forces where your enemy may not necessarily be visible. And then it says intensity and passion, stressful episodes happen here, and you do some work on your shadow side. If you are prepared to abandon old patterns of habitual behavior as well as attachments to the ways in your thinking, this axis can be a turning point in your life. So basically, the Pluto point is your make it or break it. So with the Pluto line, this is where you're basically going to be faced with a lot of challenges, some big challenges, and you're going to make some major changes here for the good or the bad. If you're able to do the work and you're willing to work through it, then you're definitely going to be able to make it. And ironically enough, I live in Atlanta very near this Pluto line. And I actually traveled to areas right on this Pluto line. So it's like I went from doing shadow work to having to do more shadow work. So basically, I had to work on myself. So that's why I tell you. And this isn't something that I knew actually when I went to Panama. I didn't find this out until I was to the end of my trip in Costa Rica. So what I did know is that this was actually a very difficult time for me because, like I said, the baggage that I left Atlanta with, I took right on over here to Costa Rica, Panama with me, right here in Limon. Right here. I was living right here on top of it. So I took all of that. I even visited Bocas del Toro. So I took all of that with me and I had to work on that. So this is what your astrocartography will tell you. Now I'll give you another example. So this is Mexico. And it's hard to read these charts. I've been reading them for a while. So I'm very familiar with how to read this, but it could be a little difficult to read these charts. But this one, and you'll find that your line doesn't necessarily go through everywhere, right? So this is my moon line, and my moon line actually goes very near Mexico City. It actually doesn't even go to the part of Mexico. But this is a time where basically I'm going to kind of stay to myself. The introspective, the personal, and the private matters. This is a time where I'm going to be more compassionate to others and what they have to do and things that they're doing themselves. And this is a quiet and peaceful time for me. This is not a good time for business, which is another reason I need to do my business before I leave. This is not a place where I need to do business. However, this is a very family friendly place for me. And this is a great place for children. So this is something that I need to be aware of. Some people choose to follow it. Some people choose not to. After everything I've experienced, I find it to be very true for me. So, I need to finish my business before I leave. Because when I get here, it's more about family and myself, the introspective, just being quiet and peaceful. So I need to do those things. So I need my business affairs to be in order before I get over there. Now, when you look at the map as a whole, it's a whole lot of lines. You'll find that some of the lines fall right here in the ocean, where these circles are. The circles are the most important, but if they fall in the ocean, obviously you won't live in the ocean. So you don't necessarily have to worry about those circles as much. It's where they fall on the lines. Like for me, I'm going to Kenya. One of the biggest places that I want to go to is Mombasa, and I actually have three very positive lines right here in Mombasa. Well, near Mombasa, it's Mombasa, Melinda. So I have three here, and then I have two here. And if I click on them, it'll actually tell me which lines they are. So that's my Mars line. Then I have the Mercury, and then I have some other lines, but they're very powerful lines in that area. And so I know which ones will affect more than others. I personally don't have any circles that land on anything. The most positive lines for me, I think, are actually in places like Russia and all of that. And even before the war, y'all, I wasn't going to Russia. I've never had any desire to go to Russia. So that just was not happening for me. But I have a lot of lines right up in here. So a lot going on in my world in this Russia area, but I'm never gonna make it here. So that's just not happening. But yeah, that is your cartography, astrocartography. And like I said, I use astro.com. I've been using it for years now. It's actually the only one that I personally use for my astrocartography. And honestly, to be very honest with you, it's the one that if you pay somebody to read your chart, that they're reading as well. I don't really do other people's charts other than friends. I mean, I guess if you really wanted me to, I could. But you could just do an appointment, I guess. But it's not something I really do. I don't do a lot of my spiritual stuff outside of like friends and family. Just because, I don't know, it's a lot more acceptable in the world now than it was, years ago. So I'm kind of part of that old generation, I think, that's always kept quiet about it. But there's a lot that you can learn here from these lines if you learn about your astrocartography and even about where you're located at right now, because you may find that you're sitting right on a line that you were not aware of. So I found that was very interesting to me, that I was sitting on, this Pluto line that I've been living on pretty much all of my life. Did that help explain it, Maria? Do y'all have any questions? And then the shamanic experience, that is my I did a video, that ayahuasca ceremony. I did the ayahuasca ceremony actually in Colombia, where ayahuasca, well, it's not called ayahuasca when they pick it off the tree, but where it's planted and grown. I can tell you it is nowhere near as expensive as it is here in the States. And to be quite honest with you, I don't know how pure the stuff in the States is, but I promise you, you can fly there, get a hotel, pay for the ayahuasca ceremony, and fly back and still not pay as much money as you're going to pay to do the ceremony here. And when you do the ayahuasca ceremony overseas, they keep you a minimum of 2 days. I recommend that you do something that keeps you a minimum of 2 or 3 days. The one that I actually did, they had us come, so it was like a Friday, Saturday, but we actually had to come for pre-meeting. So we had to come for a meeting on Monday. We had to come for a meeting on Thursday. And then I think it was Saturday, Sunday. Then we left Saturday to Sunday. So it wasn't just, oh, you show up, you do this ayahuasca and you go home. No, it was a pre-meeting, and we had a post-meeting. We had a meeting that following Monday. To see how we were doing, see what had taken place, what everybody had experienced. So to me, I just found it to be very, very helpful for me, because I actually wasn't very familiar with ayahuasca, which people are like, wait a minute, like people research this for years before they do ayahuasca. And I just didn't. That just wasn't something that I felt like I needed to do. It was really one of those things when I found out about it and I read about it and I talked to, some people about it. I just was like, no, I'm good. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So this is the video, and I'll post the link here for you, and then I'll post it as well. But this is the video for the ayahuasca ceremony. I don't know if you can click on that link. But yeah, it says I do the before, the during, and the after for that particular ceremony. So, any other questions about that? Did that help explain it for you? Let me know. Let me know if that explained it for you a little bit better. And I'll also post a link to the ceremony as well in the description. So you'll have that. But ladies, I think that is it. You are so welcome. You all go out and be amazing, be wonderful in this world, and continue to do you. All right. Ciao.